carbohydrates or overconsumption of carbohydrates can be detrimental to your health. First of all, foods consist of carbohydrates, sugar, bread, pasta, cereals. Over here, you have fats, nuts, olive oil, things like of that nature. And then back here you have protein, chicken, fish, and meat. This is where I like to be. So I love protein. Anyway, we'll get back carbohydrates. 3 ways carbohydrates or overconsumption can be detrimental to your health. Number 1, over consuming carbohydrates can make you fat. How is that? Whenever we have 2 energy systems in our body: glycogen, which is carbohydrates or sugar, and fat. If you're always feeding your body carbohydrates, your body is always burning sugar. So you eat carbohydrates, it gets converted to sugar in the blood, insulin is released, and it drives that glycogen or sugar to the brain, liver, and muscle. And the excess sugar gets stored as fat. So what I do, and the timing of eating carbohydrates is important. I try to limit my carb intake to 200 grams a day, and I only eat carbohydrates at night because I force my body to utilize our second fuel source for energy, and that's fat. If you've never done that, it can be, first couple of days you can feel a little bit dizzy and shaky because your body, where's that sugar? Where's that sugar? I want that sugar. It's like kids at Halloween, give me that candy. So you force your body to utilize fat for energy. You know, every year you hear people talk about, man, I went to my annual doctor's visit, I gained 3 pounds. Last year, I gained 3 pounds. So overconsumption of carbs does lead to you being fat. And that's contrary to what these supplement companies want you. They tell you you're supposed to take in carbs every 5 to 7 hours. It ain't so. Number 2, another way that overconsumption of carbs can harm your health. Type 2 diabetes and onset diabetes is at an all-time high. Why is that? You're always eating sugar. When you eat sugar, you have an insulin response. The insulin gets the sugar out of the blood. So if you're always eating carbs, you're always having an insulin response. Your pancreas is always having to be stimulated. And just like a car giving out, after a while, the pancreas gives out, and then you've got to take insulin shots. So overconsumption of carbs leads to type 2 diabetes, or can lead to type 2 diabetes, because the pancreas just gets worn out. At the very least, we become insulin insensitive, where the pancreas has to dump more insulin to get rid of the sugar. So the blood sugar, it's got to get taken out of there somehow. And if you don't have a pancreas, if it gets worn out, then you're going to have to lead to insulin shots, which is type 2 diabetes. And the third reason carbohydrates can be detrimental to your health. There's a new kind of, about 20 years ago, you never really heard of this, leaky gut syndrome or irritable bowel syndrome. Carbohydrates, grains, corn, if you don't eat non-GMO, non-gluten carbohydrates, that can lead to leaky gut or irritable bowel syndrome. Gluten, for a lot of people, myself included, is irritating to the stomach, and after a while, a chronic intake of gluten can lead to irritable bowel syndrome. So if you eat gluten-free and non-GMO, what is GMO? Well, this monstrosity called Monsanto, who I know them as the devil because I know what they're about. They're the largest seed producer in the world. They came up with a GMO, genetically modified seed, that in essence, when an insect tries to eat the crop, the insect explodes. It literally causes their internal organs to explode, killing the insect. Now, we're a lot bigger than insects. Eating an ear of corn that has GMO on it is not going to cause us to explode. However, on a microscopic level, that is occurring within your gut. And over time, it can compromise the lining of your gut, creating that leaky gut syndrome. So Make sure you limit your carb intake to under 200 grams a day, if you can. Eat your carbs at night, and I'll explain that. Non-GMO, organic carbohydrates. I eat brown rice pasta. It tastes exactly like pasta. So why would I eat my carbs at night? Every time you have an insulin response, we have two nervous systems in our body. One is sympathetic. My sympathetic nervous system is stimulated right now. I am kinetically aware of everyone, what's going on. Then we have the parasympathetic, the sleepy nervous system. Whenever you get an insulin response into the bloodstream, it triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, which makes you sleepy. And when you eat carbs at night, wow, I just might have a better night's sleep. So instead of thinking calories in, calories out, Jenny Craig would want you, this is how many points you can have. Not all the time, but a lot of the time, these companies want to make things convoluted, complicated, so that you stay in their pocket. So you succeed, and then you fail. You succeed, then you fail. Instead, think about hormone regulation. Hormones are the most powerful substance that is in our body. It determines whether you're going to be fat, have diabetes, etc. So make sure you focus on those 4 factors to reduce the carb effect and have better health.